Okay, today's March the 24th, 20th, 5 o'clock. We're in conference room 1, and this is Budget and Finance Committee. And I'll call the meeting to order. And we've taken the roll in attendance, and everybody but Ms. Dow's here. She is in Hilton Head. Take a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion approved.
It's got one with Stubblefield.
We have an addition
Oh,
we
yeah.
need to add to it. On 4, under public comments, we need to have elect a secretary for budget finance.
Okay. With that addition, Mr.
Is
Stubblefield.
that what they're allowing? Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, Mr. Stubblefield agrees. Got a second? Okay. Got a Stubblefield and Hirschman. Any discussion? All those in favor by aye? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Nobody signed up for public comment, so I don't have any public comments, so we'll go right to the 4A about a nomination for our secretary.
I nominate Laura Meadows for secretary.
I second that.
Hirschman in second. Okay.
I
Any-
accept.
Okay.
I
Any
make a vote
discussion?
on nominations cease,
Okay. Any discussion?
unless you want it.
All those in favor by aye? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next one up is to make a motion for the approve the minutes of the last meeting.
So moved.
Okay. Lynn,
I'll second it.
Terry, first and second, okay.
Oh,
Motion and a second, okay. Anything that needs to be corrected? Everybody good with minutes? Okay. All those in favor by aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, Mary Ann is working on some things for the school system right now. She'll be right back for us to have the paperwork on it. Shouldn't take but a minute. And April, if you want to come on up. You can go over there and we'll turn the mic on for you.
Oh, yeah, I'm going next door. So it's-
Hey. Members, if you would, please speak into the microphone for our media.
I've got mine right down there. Okay, you have 3 budget amendments, correct?
I do.
Okay.
Sorry you don't have copies. Usually
Yeah.
she puts them in there, and then I usually bring some, and I just assumed she was going to put them in there.
And there they are.
Oh, thank you, Mariana.
Coming out. Auto supply.
Yes. Okay.
You should have 3 in your packet. 9, 10, and 11. Are ready?
Mm-hmm.
Number 9, this is normal budget moves, so I try to estimate where we're at in the budget each year at this time and try to decide if we need to move funds around in the line. So this budget amendment takes care of some increases that we've seen in our benefits lines, like vision, dental, medical, retirement, and then we had some salary lines that I either miscalculated or we had some years of service that we needed to give. Some software that we purchased, bus parts, transportation supplies, some increases in our utilities, and some translation devices and a grant. So if you'll look at the back page, it'll give you a good idea of what each number is for. And then the very first page, down to the total line, is where we're taking the funds from. And then the next part of the budget amendment is where we're putting the money at. This does not affect fund balance. So we were able to move some funds around within our budget to take care of these items. And I'll take questions about specific items if you have them.
First of all, take the motion to accept it. That way we can talk about it. This is the first one.
This is number 9.
Number 9.
For discussion purposes, I move for
Yes.
approval.
Okay. One by Lynn,
Second.
second by Tim Brown. Okay, any questions for April? It's just moving stuff around a lot for my buses and stuff.
This is just moving normal things around in the budget to
Okay.
take care of some benefits lines, salary lines, and some other things that we weren't expecting to have this year that we need to take care of.
Anybody have any questions for her?
I don't.
Okay. Everybody ready to vote?
We got a motion first on this one.
I motion.
He did.
You,
And Tim Brown, yeah.
second.
Yep. All those in favor by aye? Aye. Chair abstains because of the school system. Okay, number 10.
So
Okay.
this is budget amendment number 10. This is to cover the interim director's contract. This budget amendment does not affect fund balance. We were able to use some funding that we had for additional teachers and some funding that we had in our budget for interim teachers, to fund this budget amendment. Not really a whole lot, same thing. The top was where I'm taking the funds from, and the bottom is where I'm moving the funds to. And I will take other additional questions if you have them.
Somebody want to make a motion so you can talk about it?
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion?
I'll second it.
Tina? Okay. Got a motion in a second. Okay, discussion?
I have some comments.
Yes, sir.
So, I understand that none of these comments are to you. I understand that this is taking money from other places in the budget where it's not being used. That does not mean that this money is without cost. Because the money that's gonna be appropriated this way is money that could have been appropriated to something else in the future. We all know that this money is being moved because we dismissed the director of schools, thus in requiring paying out of his contract, and now we're having to pay another person to do this job. But that move was made without explanation. There's been no information given to the public why that was carried out, and I don't understand why we should approve spending additional public monies without any explanation to the public of why those monies are necessary. And so I will be voting against this.
Okay. And I asked Mr. Ballard to
I will
Come
make
to
a,
now.
I'm gonna make a comment before I do that too. I'm gonna make a comment before that too. You know, when this happened, I had a lot of my voters in my district call me about this. Of course, I've had teachers and principals and most every one of them told me, do not allow this. And it's sat there and now been kicked down the road, and here it is again. So I for one, I'm not voting for this because I know what my voters have told me to do, and I had very few of them tell me to vote for it. So with what information I get, I did not just sit down and take phone calls. I went to schools, talked to teachers, I talked to principals, and I could not find a reason why this was done. And I've never heard a reason why it was done either. So until I have a reason, I can't vote for it. So, go from there.
Anybody else? Mr. Ballard, would you like to speak to this? If you'll come up to the microphone with April.
We have advice of attorney because this is an ongoing legal issue, so, but he told me to tell you that this is not the forum to discuss that. The forum to discuss that would be at the Board of Education, and we're happy to do that, but this is not the forum to discuss that here. So,
Sorry, could you clarify what it is? It's not the form to discuss, because you brought us a budget amendment to approve, so is that not what we're
we want to
discussing?
talk about the budget amendment, yes, but the reason for dismissal of the director, we're here to discuss the budget amendment, and I realize they're tied together, but the budget amendment itself really requires no new money from the county. It's basically, just moving some funds, and according to our policy 2.201, that if there's movement between budget categories, then that requires a budget amendment. If it's just a line item move, then that is director's discretion. So in this case, there's $20,000 in there, I think, that actually could have been just line itemed moved, but there's 79,000 that is coming from other categories. So now, if we were the federal government, we probably would have jammed this all into Budget Amendment 9 and, obfuscated it. But in the interest of transparency, we're putting it out here in April, prepared that so that it's clear where the money is going and what it's being used for. So we're, we don't want to hide anything, and that's why it's in a separate budget amendment, and Budget Amendment 11 will address, part of that also. And I'll let April talk about that when we get to that. So,
Let me ask you another question. At the time you dismissed the director of schools, was there no other staff already existing in the school that could have taken on those responsibilities and you could have hired a new director?
the statutes, the state statutes require a director of schools. So we had to hire an interim director. We didn't have anybody the board felt could fulfill that role, so we hired an interim director. You're required by statute to have a director of schools.
But could you have not used an existing employee?
We determined that we did not now, yes.
And then you entered into a contract with an
And
director?
actually, we asked for, we solicited and nobody really stepped forward, so.
But then you entered into a contract to do that before bringing an amendment to this board to pay for it?
We did. Because we had to do that. We couldn't have waited this long to do that. So that is,
This board meets every month.
I understand that, but we had enough money in there to cover it, and it got to this point, so we need to do a budget amendment at this point. So,
Okay.
other questions?
Where'd the money come from?
The money, it's listed on the,
I know it's listed on this paper, but where does the money come from?
the money in the budget.
Where's the money for school budget come from?
It comes basically 2/3 from the state through the TISA funding, and 1/3 from the county is roughly how we get a little bit of federal funds, but that's basically how it's
So
broken out.
The question I'm asking, you're not giving me the answer I'm looking for, because it comes from taxpayers. And you're using taxpayers' dollars to sit there and double up paying for two people at the same time. That's what I'm having problems with.
That is true.
Okay.
And we could have also dismissed with cause, and that would have precipitated a lawsuit likely, and that would probably have cost more. So we took the path of lowest cost and lowest impact.
So are you not risking a lawsuit right now into this meeting by saying you had cause to fire him and you won't tell what it is, and that just besmirches his reputation?
Well, if you say you're firing, if you're terminating with cause, there's a cause, you're just choosing not to state it, so.
So how does that get you out of legal jeopardy?
It doesn't, I mean, but if you state a cause, there's a whole process you have to go through where there's a hearing and the lawyers get involved at that point, and that's basically where, where we made that determination to do that, so. And basically, that is, the attorney has told me that if you want to discuss it in more detail and get all the details, then
Sorry,
we can meet at the
you
Board of
said you wanted
Education.
this- Can you clarify that? So you're saying if county commissioners come to the Board of Education, we can discuss the cause
Yes,
in a private meeting or a public meeting?
that would be a public, open meeting.
So you're saying you're willing to have a public meeting where you discuss cause at the school board, but you're not willing to have in this public meeting tonight?
That is on advice of attorney, yes.
What could possibly be the rationale between it being acceptable in one public meeting and not acceptable in another public meeting?
I consulted the attorney, and that was his advice to me, so.
So when are you gonna schedule that meeting?
Yeah, that would be at the discretion of the commissioners.
That's when all that.
Yeah.
No. Uh-uh.
They try you.
I don't think y'all can have a meeting.
I just got him come up there to,
Well, he's the one that they asked to speak, and
well, cause I can elaborate on that a little bit, what we all were told.
was the same thing he got told?
Yes,
Okay.
trader, not the work, not exactly. Not exactly. And it would not be a public format. And it would involve counsel from the county and counsel for the school board.
If there's counsel involved, yes, then it would be, yep.
It would be an executive session. It would require an executive session.
Y'all wanna hear any more?
I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Anybody else have any more questions? Okay, we'll vote. All those in favor by aye? All those opposed?
No.
Chair abstains.
You want me to stay up here for 11 also?
Yeah, if it's the same, probably.
Oh, I think I get it.
I'll just grab it and then they have.
Yeah, sorry.
You have one more one? Yeah, I have 11 in there.
There we go.
Thank you. So this is budget amendment number 11, and this is to pay out the previous director's vacation. So he had 18 days left to use, and from advice from the attorney that we would have to pay those out. So this is the budget amendment to take care of that. And we were able to find the same funding within the budget to take care of those vacation days.
Somebody like to make a motion to be able to talk about it?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr. Seaborn,
Second.
Mr. Brown? Okay, questions?
I don't have any questions.
I'd like Robert, if he's got something else to say different, to hear from him.
Okay.
On this amendment,
About number 11.
About 11?
It has to be on.
It has to be on
on
11.
this
But
amendment,
it pertains to the same thing.
okay.
I don't-
As long as it's for this
Come
amendment.
to the microphone, that way people can hear you.
The money's gonna take it from the same place.
What we got?
There you go.
I
Tim?
just want to say that Mr. Ballard is correct in what we were told at the advice of counsel. This can be discussed, the answers that y'all are requesting. The actions are required to do, we're required to do this, we're required to ask for this amendment if we are doing a major change, not just a line change. We're not talking about a lot, we're using unused funds. It is still taxpayers' money. There is circumstances in which we can't, we've all been advised isn't the setting to discuss those. That can be arranged. And we were basically told that council can seek counsel and then we can do it via an executive session. That's kind of where we were on both of them. This is, nobody likes this. Nobody likes to ever have to do this, ever have to go through these kind of things, but as a governing body, sometimes you gotta make tough decisions. And, we're as a school board, I'm proud of the school board, I'm proud of the direction we're heading. I'm proud of the things that have started to change and we're starting to do.
I think that's that enough for y'all? Okay. Anybody else, any kind of different questions or anything?
Also, note that with these budget amendments, I mean, obviously, everybody is still gonna get paid, so we will basically end up with an audit finding if, we checked with our attorney, and there will end up being an audit finding. April's done what she needs to do, she's been transparent, and the board approved these things, and if the commission does not pass them, people will still get paid, including Dr. Lawson, but there will be an audit finding on that because we will be over budget in those particular categories.
Okay. Any more discussion?
I want to ask a question.
Okay.
I know if somebody leaves and they've left leave time or vacation time, you have to pay them.
Yes.
Is there where would that money come from if
That-
somebody
that-
just walked out, they quit? Would it come from the same place? You have to take it from somewhere else? Same, basically the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't plan for that, so we would
Yeah.
have to do a budget amendment to take care of that.
Okay.
Has Dr. Lawson already been paid his vacation?
No, this is a,
The lawyer advised us to do it in June.
Okay.
Any more discussion? Okay, everybody ready to vote? All those in favor by aye? All those opposed?
No.
Chair abstains. Okay. Do y'all want to schedule a meeting? I mean, it would cost us a lawyer.
Surely we can afford a lawyer for an hour.
Oh, I understand that.
Oh, yeah, we
I'm
can
just
do that.
saying it's just money.
I'd leave that up to the mayor more than,
Would they
because
have
I
to
think,
come here?
I think all the commissioners would have a right to attend that. Don't you
Okay.
agree, Mayor?
You have to go there?
Schedule it
understand why
before
that-
that meeting. Okay.
I mean, what does it matter?
Because
what room-
because
what
in
does it
theory,
matter
they're
what
gonna
room
vote on
we're
this
in?
too, right?
Okay, yes. If it comes to the floor, it will. All right. One more thing. I will make sure that the school board understands that April the 24th is the date that she has set forth that we need your budget. 24th of April, that budget and finance, because I know there's things going around saying you can put it off till June. Can't do that. We've got to have a budget to run with, and it can be this budget you bring us or last year's budget. But by the 24th, we need a budget. Everybody good? Okay,
Is that it?
that's it for them. Okay,
got one.
next one up, Mariana's got a, budget amendment for her.
Got budget amendment? Okay.
Yep.
He's got that next
Yeah,
door.
it's just one.
This is Mariana's.
Yes.
You're right.
Has everybody started? Thank you. Just get out of here.
And it could be set like before a county commission, but where everybody would be.
Same thing?
Yeah. I got a whole bunch.
Okay, we're still doing business up here. Okay, your amendment.
Okay. 171, 2025, 15. The first one for 10,000, general administration, office equipment. This is for the capital outlay, is trying to get a desk for this room that's U-shaped, and we've been trying for like a year and a half. We had 3,944 left over from the previous two times we tried to do this. So, capital outlay estimates it'll be up to $10,000, so.
I had a question. I don't think we have the right one.
It's in the middle of the page, number one.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
See right there?
I was saying the 95,000, okay.
I had a minute there, too.
You were thinking the same thing.
Sorry. 10,000 is for the desk. And the second one is Jenny Anthony had come to capital outlay a week or so ago. We have tried to Band-Aid the sound system and recording in the Justice Center courtrooms. She brought estimates from their current vendor that they use for some other things, which is BIS. And capital outlay had approved that request up to $85,000. So that would allow her to get that done and,
And that was for 3 courtrooms, right?
yes,
And that went through you, Terry.
it would be capital outlay. I just happened to be at that one.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Okay, Tim Stubblefield. Anybody second by Lynn. Any discussion on any of these two? Okay, and Mr. Hirschman has a picture or a rendering of the desk, and I think it looks pretty neat. All those in favor by aye? Any opposed? Okay, Mr. Seaborn.
Left over, so it gets a couple
Okay.
more chairs around the table.
All right,
Everybody's set.
we get down to number 7 and it's budget presentations and Ms. Amy Price, excuse me, and agriculture extension.
Yeah, it's just one page.
Okay.
I did it front and back, so hopefully that would be easier.
Oh, I see. I got
Yes.
you.
Second paper.
Yeah. Trying to save paper. That's right.
Tree.
That's right. Okay. Thank you for letting me come and present my budget to you. I have a few changes that I wanted to make you aware of, which changed kind of our calculations on benefits, which is actually in the county's favor. So that's really awesome. So if you didn't know, our benefits and salary is cost shared with the university at a rate of 40%. So the county pays 40% of our benefits and salaries, and then UT pays the other 60%. UT has changed the benefit calculation from the way it was calculated previously, where everything was a different rate, to a uniform benefits rate of 35.6% for all regular employees. So that led to a $21,000 savings for the county. So our benefits went down, and you will be able to see that from our difference from last year to this year. So with that savings, for this next fiscal year, I moved that $21,000 to our vacant position, our vacant program assistant position, which was a part-time position, and added that to make it a full-time position. It's been really, really hard for us to get anybody who wants to just work part-time. So moving that cost savings over there will hopefully help us to get a really good program assistant that's going to stay with us and help us with all of our programs. Let's see. Another change that you will see here on the back side on our contracted services, supplies, and materials, the contracts with private agencies, which is the dead livestock removal, will actually go down to our 2024 rate, which was $57,225. So that's a savings there.
And for the people that live out in A1 and
Yeah.
farm and stuff,
Yes.
it is a wonderful service, because
yes.
if not, there would be animals that
Right.
were disposed of improperly. So
Correct.
when you look at it, just take that in consideration, that it does help a lot of people of Coffee County.
It really doesn't. It seems like a lot, but I do have several people that call when they have a cow or a horse or something, and the contract we have, they'll come and take care of that. So they don't have to. And then I made a few minor adjustments. One, added a little bit more to travel. Hopefully if we get that second person, or that full-time program assistant, we'll have them traveling all over the county doing programs. A little bit to data supplies, data processing, a little bit to utilities, just because everything's going up. So hopefully, it looks like overall I just had a 4.5% increase over last year. So I tried to keep it as low as possible. And if you've got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Can you tell them about the vans? I'm on the ag committee, and they've gotten some pretty good things of being able to travel with and carry
Yes.
kids and stuff. And
Yes,
it's pretty
so
neat.
if you've noticed out in the parking lot, there is a 12-passenger van. There were 4 put in the central region, and we were asked if we would house one. So we do still have to pay mileage if we use that, but the good thing is about it being here in Coffee County is that we kind of get first dibs if we want to use that. We transport a lot of kids to events. We will carpool as agents and go places to try to save those travel dollars as much as possible. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
We need a motion to approve that.
No.
Okay, we just accept it. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Nope. Okay. No questions? Next person up is Health Department.
All right.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Thank you for having me. My name is Araceli Castillo. I'm the director over at the Coffee County Health Department, Lincoln County, and Moore County. For the health department, I have passed out the budget, the proposed budget for 25-26. When you can see here, The proposed or the estimate for this current fiscal year is in the column. First column, the next column is the requested, and the third column is the reimbursed by the state. So the line items that are highlighted in yellow are the items that are reimbursable. So for 25-26, I did increase the travel, and I also increased the utilities. So we are getting close to meeting the 9,500 that we had, and of course, I guess with the increase in everything else. So I just increased it to 13,800. The other supplies and materials, again, those are reimbursable. And then other charges is our tobacco funding, which has gone down, but we are not requesting any more of that. That actually, it will be decreasing each year. We do have to use that tobacco funding money. There's 25% of that clerical personnel is state, and then as well as 25% of the Social Security, so only 25% of that is reimbursable. And I thank Ms. Mariana for helping me with the medical and personnel items. But like I said, not much has changed. And I think that for definitely there would be more changes for the 26, 27 because of our new health department. And of course, we're going to be a little further away from our regional office, which is in Columbia, and a lot of our staff have meetings and we travel, and so that travel would probably increase as well, since we'll be a little further away.
Now, is all your travel reimbursed by the state?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Good.
Yes.
Anybody questions?
So the county request went down slightly, mostly because increased state reimbursements, what it looks like.
Correct.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It went down $2,000.
We'll pay for the rest of that table now.
Give another chair.
Get a chair now.
Okay. Anybody more questions?
The mayor can sit with us.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Tullahoma Library.
Everybody got one?
Yeah.
You get the bottom, this too? Okay.
So that top
get two?
packet that I handed out is the fiscal year 24 annual report for our library. I'm not gonna go over it page by page, but I hope that you do. Hope that you take it home and look at it, because we had some amazing achievements that I want you all to be aware of. That report contains most of, if not all, of the, most of, but not all, of the most wonderful services that the library provides. Shows all of our community partners, the most checked out books by location for the year, and what our turnover rate is, just to name a few things. So please take a look at that. It's actually really cool. To the budget, that's that second packet that I gave you. The first page is salaries. The library board agreed to request $15 an hour for part-time staff. Last year, we were able to bring up part-time staff to $13.02, and we were able to bring up all of our remaining full-time staff up to $15 because of the commission graciously awarding 8.5% increases for all staff. That went a long way. Everybody was really pleased. Morale was at an all-time high. Unfortunately, with inflation going up continuously, it's still kind of hitting them. 1302 is a big improvement from 829, but we feel that 15 an hour for part-time is a living wage, and we're hoping to get to that. On the next page, line 320, we're hoping to add an ALA membership to be able to increase professional materials at our library. Our professional collection hasn't been updated since the 90s.
and that membership will give us a deep discount as well as free access to their online training modules. Yeah.
So when you say professional material, you mean for the librarians themselves, right?
Mhm, yeah. We can also loan those out to other libraries, and that would count as circulation for us. Line 355, more and more in-person trainings are being offered as we get back to pre-pandemic life. We had moved some of that money out in previous years since we weren't really going anywhere. We had a lot of virtual and recorded trainings that we were doing. They're offering more and kind of only offering in-person trainings, and we have a minimum requirement for each employee. The lowest employee working minimal, like 19 hours a week, they have to have at least 5 hours a year. I have to have 25 hours every year. The next page, lines 428, 432, and 437 are our materials budget. You may remember from last year, the state standards for a library of our size, of our operations, we are required to spend 15% of our total budget on materials every year. Like I said, last year, we're getting closer to that every year. Last year, we were able to get up above 10%. This year, we're hoping to get, the request is for 12.5%. Next year, we will ask for a little bit more so that we can hopefully meet that standard within the 5-year window. Next page is blank, mostly. So flip again to the next page. So this is capital expenditures. I put in some rough estimates that I was quoted 2-3 years ago. Our pipes are collapsing under our building, and those have to be replaced. It's pretty costly. Once that's done, the remaining carpet will need to be replaced as well, especially after that flood we had last
Can
month.
you talk about that a little bit, because I don't know if everybody's aware of that.
The flood, so we've had a leaky roof for over 30 years, and it's been patched, recovered for the last 30 years, and it's not holding. Our roof is just failing. There's nothing to be done about it besides replacement at this point. Rick, the maintenance director, has been really great, and he's working with a company to try and prevent the leaks. Unfortunately, they may have just moved some around. It's not been a permanent solution. The permanent solution is a new roof.
Can you tell everybody about the damage you had a few weeks ago?
Yes,
roof has a
not this
trough.
most recent storm, but the one before that was a 3-day weekend. One of my employees went in to just put some papers in her office on that Monday, President's Day, I believe, and she sent me pictures, and I sent them out to the whole commission. All of the ceiling tiles in like a 40-foot span of our library were soaked through on the ground. There was about 50 gallons of water that we sucked out of the carpet. We had to rent a machine from Christopher Equipment, which thankfully they were open that day, because the one that we have that we use regularly because we have leaks so often was not going to pick all that up. It took 6 people about 4 hours to get that whole mess cleaned up. We lost 2 books, thankfully, just 2. We lost a Chromebox, a monitor, keyboard, mouse, the whole computer that we use as an e-catalog computer. Total damage that we have had to pay to replace things was, I think, like $1,700. It could have been, yes. Thankfully, we've moved a lot of stuff away from those areas because we knew that it was starting to leak. But all of the ceiling tiles had just been replaced, and now they're all gone, and we've got trash bags kind of just catching the water and moving it into buckets. We've got buckets all over again. Feels like 2017 again. This last storm, we had a different leak in a different part of the library, in our tech office, actually. We had to rent another dehumidifier to get all the rest of the water out of the air because it smells pretty bad in there once the carpet gets wet. So,
Can I say something? Because this happens quite a lot. I know it was a holiday weekend, but when this, you need to notify our office as soon as possible so we can start a claim to our insurance.
Okay.
Because if it gets up to where it's over the deductible, we will have our adjuster go in, and that way we will get our,
Money back.
we pay significant.
I was curious about the
Yes,
insurance. I've been
I realized it
told-
was a holiday
Yeah.
and, you know,
As soon as we were done cleaning everything up and locked up,
Yeah.
I went home and drafted that email and sent it out,
I
so.
mean, if you want to go ahead and send me everything you've paid,
Yeah.
so I can keep a file on it, and
Yes.
I can go ahead and turn it in,
I will send that to you.
in case you have
Yeah.
more.
I'll send you the ones from this most recent one too. We
Okay.
also lost 2 books in that one. They were completely soaked.
Yeah, anything you lost.
We didn't have to
just
pay for those
detail.
ones.
Yes, you do. Put it down.
Okay.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was, it's mostly just disheartening to come in and wonder after a big storm like that, where's the leak gonna be now? Every time, every day, I walk around my building and I look up. You'll see me walking around just looking up, just looking at the ceiling tiles, wondering, okay, is that a leak? Is that a new leak? Do I need to get a bucket? A lot of people don't have trash cans at their desks now because they've been commandeered and used as water buckets. So, and I know the county has a lot of buildings that are in dire need of roofs. Just wanted you to be aware that we are one of them.
We're throwing good money right now after bad money. It's, we gotta fix the problem. So, you know,
I just-
capital outlay is looking at.
I have 2 questions. How many part-time people do you have?
11.
11, okay. And the estimates that's requested, are those, estimates that you got from, plumbers and roofers, or is those just,
Yeah, the plumbing was from Drain Masters. They have a particular way that they can do it without tearing up the entire floor in the library. But it was from a couple years ago, so I added a little bit. I'm not sure if that's
Okay.
accurate.
I was-
They're just rough estimates.
Did Rick Susie help you with those?
okay. Okay,
It'll be
that's what,
close, I think.
okay.
I'm hoping, yeah. So I think I talked to him about a year and a half ago, and he said that it was still accurate, but
Okay,
everything's gone up, so I'm
That's
not
the
sure.
20,000 for the plumbing.
Yeah.
Okay.
thank you.
And I will be getting a list of everything that's been requested in the budget to give direct to bring to capital outlay first.
Okay.
Yeah, we need that, what we're gonna have on our agenda next capital outlay.
And I know Rick is also putting in for our roof in his budget. I didn't know that until after I put mine together, so.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We start that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Terry needs,
Did we put a roof on that
No,
10 years ago?
No.
Robert just worked on it?
yep, just fix the, we have
That's
three-
a
we have three
1950s
buildings.
design when
Well-
A-Row was coming in and they built all these cool, funky houses back then. And that was the architecture at the time to put those troughs down the middle of it. And now we find out that that was,
And those troughs are right
Yeah.
where it's leaking. Yeah.
Collecting the water in the middle of the building?
Yeah.
That'd be a bad idea.
Yeah, and we have 2 of those systems.
but it's a
out
beautiful
there.
building.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so,
But it can be fixed,
Mhm.
but it's just not, it's not cheap fixed, but it's, we're just, every time we spend $100-something thousand on it, we're just wasting
with
the
money.
That library has many, many, many more decades of life left in her. We just need to do these
Okay.
repairs.
Anybody else? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Donna Tony.
I'm going to open up with some remarks about the office. The purpose and core of the Registrar's Office, as told by VP First American Title Insurance Company and State Counsel Mark Rosser, our whole economy is based on private ownership of real property. The citizens are the holders of the real property system. We validate the ownership, and we are the gatekeepers. If there is no accurate record system, the system does not work. The Registrar's Office has to maintain the confidence of the citizens by the office's accuracy. We cannot lose. It is crucial to maintain due to the importance of the public's confidence in the office and all the entities that use the information held at the office. Private ownership is rare across the world. The U.S. is unique with its record system. In the Bible, Jeremiah chapter 32, verse 9 through 20, a deed was signed, sealed, witnessed in front of the Jews, and placed in an earthenware jar for safekeeping. As a leader is only as good as the team of the employees. I have lots of pride and confidence in each member of the staff. Productivity. The amount of development across our county in both Manchester and Tullahoma has impacted the Registrar's Office. We are now in a good position to handle what is coming forward. The recordings and the development real estate transactions require much more knowledge, research, communication. I am thankful to have a staff and myself that bring forth much needed experience to expedite all. As we move forward, I expect many recordings to come in, not just on development and sales, but when the mortgage rates go down, we will have a substantial amount of mortgage releases, new deeds of trust recorded with refinancing. I project the year 2026 to be very productive. I'm going to now talk about a few things that will help make sense of the budget so you can kind of see where things have been rolling. I'm going to go to this handout first. A big part of what's been pushed aside since the time I became the Register in 2014 has been, I've been trying to pull resources from every corner to preserve our records. We have older records in the office that it's my duty to make sure they're going to be preserved, and with that comes cost. We have done a lot of things I'm very proud of. We're really caught up until I get into what I'm going to discuss right now. And I just want you to see where the money's going. Cabinet number 1 on that first picture is the first survey cabinet of the county. During that time, this is not a unique problem for Coffee County. It's a problem across the state. The material that the surveys were placed into, first of all, the surveys of onion paper and all kinds of other things were mounted with glue and so forth on cardboard. Then they were positioned in these folders, front and back. There's a substance in that plastic that's like acid, and it has totally damaged and deteriorating quickly than what anybody wants to see. So we took this on a few months back. I started planning on how to attack it. So one of the first things we did was order a new cabinet, and you'll see that on page 2, the greenish colored one on the left. That's going to hold all these surveys that come out of this cabinet number 1. All the materials needed, the sleeves and everything are already in the office. I have a part-time person that I'm very proud to have, and I want to express part-time. Part-time can be one of the most important people in the office when they have the knowledge they have. And we're getting by with paying part-time money, no benefit package. This person comes with college, real estate, auction. He also had been involved in the archive department at MTSU. So he was exactly what I was looking for. He's on like probably plat number 50 of changing them out. It's working really good. But the next problem we ran into was the way those were done, nobody could foresee into this 2025 year to see what we were going to be dealing with. We cannot take those and feed them through a plotter. So what we have done in 25's budget is at the back, well, I hadn't got there yet. At the back, as you look in those pictures, you see how crowded the office is, how I doubled up stacking. This is what they were doing across the state when I started already worrying about room, because we'd been buying double door and tall survey cabinets. So I started ordering what they call the short boys, which would fit up on top. These are heavy steel cabinets that Rick has helped us bring in and shuffle around. So on your next page, which is this file cabinet, I found out about these at a conference. So I talked with Franklin County, there is 12 other counties that are using these cabinets. They are $1,000 to $2,000 cheaper on each size. They hold, the active one holds 1,250. Our cabinets have been holding 200. When they become a storage cabinet that you're not into all the time, they'll hold up to 2,500. So this is on its way. It was paid for out of 25's budget. And it's going to take up half the space. So keep in mind, as I said, what the volume it holds, how many less we'll have to order. And we won't be running into having to have another room. On the last page, because of it became absolutely needed, the flatbed scanner. This is a 24 by 36, lay the survey on there, and it scans it. Then we can put the stick drive into our plotter and print if need be. We also can go back into the records, and there's all kinds of them, even in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, that you cannot run through the plotter. So we have to put them on the flatbed scanner. So that's getting me to where I'm going next. Next, in the budget for 2026, there's going to be two things that we had to take care of in the budget that's going to be a cost. That is, we've got books in the office that the binders are broken. The public cannot take that book and go through it. We have to, and what I'm talking about right now, I don't have handouts on it. I will at the last page of your budget sheets. So what's happening is you have to get a new book, or a lot of cases in our office, I'll have a binder that's functioning, but the front of the book and the back of the book are deteriorated. We've got a lot of books that we've determined that we can just tear off the deteriorated cover, because these books are not used like they were. In the office, when you go down and you look at the books, so many of them were abused, is what I say. I think Judge Jewell knows what I'm talking about. But they were used all the time, and they were pushed back and forth in these big rollers, and they're heavy. I mean, when I take a book, I kind of throw it up on the table because it's 35 pounds, 40 pounds. So with that, and some of the cost in the 26 budget is going to be money. We'll have, I don't even know how many yet, but to redo a whole book, and I've been talking about this in the past, $2,800 to $3,200 to get a new book. So I've got a guy coming in closer to July, and he is going to analyze where we're at. He's been in the business all of his life, works for a big company. So we'll get started in the budget. With that being said, also the books. there's images, data images that back in the day when they loaded those images, they worked for then, but they don't work now with today's digitalization. So in this budget that you're going to be looking at approving, in the last page, I want to go ahead and get this out of the way, on capital outlay, on line number 709, we're asking data processing equipment, a book cradle scanner. It's an A3. An A3 will hold the size of books that we've got, and we're not anything out of the norm. This is all across the state. It will take those books and lay them in a cradle, as you will see in the picture, a few sheets over, how that book will lay there. I've actually went and done about 6 of our books myself in Rutherford County, and it works really well. There's like cameras that take the pictures, and you don't even see the seam of the book. It makes it look like that you got a flat picture, and the digitization will work going forward. Now, 50, 100 years from now, I don't know if that's going to change again. But what we're trying to do right now is get this under control, because you got people in all kinds of places trying to get our information, and it's very difficult to go to these books, get them out, and try to make a clean picture. What we have done to Band-Aid is take a picture with our iPhone, send it from our iPhone by email to them, because we can't get it into the digitization that way. So with this cradle scanner, along with that flatbed scanner that the county's already got, it's on its way, we will be in a real good, productive situation on the preservation of the records in the office. So we'll go back to the budget at the beginning, page 1. This is the 101 to 210. Okay, so we know about the 101. Let's go to 106. What I'm asking for there, and I just want to say a little bit about it. My people were some of the people really underpaid. And last year when we done the 8%, I kind of moved it around where the lowest one was taken care of a little better and dispersed. This year I'm asking for the same. If we don't, then we go backwards again, and they're not up to where they need to be. When I discussed in my remarks, we're not in a time that I need to be changing out employees and losing them because of the technology, because of the knowledge. Each one except one of the employees that I have came from the background that I did, and it has came together greatly. I feel like we've got one of the best offices as far as knowledge across the state, and I've been told that too. So I hope that we stay to what we were doing last year and stay with the 8%. The next one was 169, that's part-time personnel. This person works 2 or 3 days a week, and I've got it budgeted so that if there was days I had to have him 4 days a week when people go on vacation, if they go out on surgery, whatever happens, we've still got somebody that we can plug in. This person brings way overboard technology to the table on the preservation of the records. Okay, we'll go to the next page. 307. 307 is a little higher, $400, because of Ben Lowman's increase in the email accounts, and another part that I think I didn't have right this year. I ran a little low. Then 320, check. 330. I want to make sure everybody at the table understands 330. 330, when you're looking at it as a commissioner, probably you're thinking, okay, that's $23,000 she's asking for. No, I'm guessing that we might need $23,000, but this is not going to be out of the general fund. This is going to come out of DP fees. So each year, when I presented a budget, at the end of the year, Mariana moves the DP fees that are in another sector of the county's budget, that I bring in $2 a recording. Those fees add up, and what we have used them for was for data processing or preservation of the records. They can be used for those kind of things. But also, what our county chose to do is to pay for the lease payment of processing our work. I am responsible for those DP fees, but I don't really, all that's done between the county and the budget as it comes to a close. So when you're looking at that line item, I just want to make sure you understand that what I do in the office and the recordings pay that. And that is our software provider's lease. We lease all of our equipment. They take care of everything. It is a real deal. Okay, and then down on 334, because I showed you that we got the flatbed scanner, and then we've got the cradle scanner coming. When those hit a year, we will have to purchase the maintenance agreements for them. So that's gonna, I don't know exactly what that's gonna run, but I put that at about $900 there for two different ones. 355, travel. This year, most of our meetings are going to be, we trade up west, middle, east. This year, they're going to be west. So there's going to be some more travel than usual. Other contracted, no, let's go to tuition and training, 356. I've added an employee that will be coming on into that training. So it'll be 1,800, 200 more. Other contracted services, 399. This is it was 4,500 this year. We actually ended up using it to purchase the funds with the flatbed scanner. And then this next year, it's either, to taking things digital or whatever there. On that line item, in microfilm to digital, we're kind of caught up. So this year, it'll be for rebinding of the books, trying to get that started. Data processing supplies the same. Office supplies the same. $599, DP, other charges. This is a line that when I used DP fees, which I did in 25, to purchase a piece of the other equipment to plug in, that's where that came from, data processing. And so I don't know what I never know what we're going to have to use out of DP fees until we get there. So on 26, it has 0. When you get down to the bottom of the total budget, I think it's 5.7% increase. I really feel like we're really, really in line. Any questions?
Have you already ordered the flatbed scanner?
Yes,
And
it's already paid for.
coming out of this year's budget?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
already gone out of the budget.
So for the coming budget, you want the money, the 15,845 for the book
Cradle
scanner?
scanner.
Okay.
And we shopped those. I've worked with Daniel March in Mariana's office. I actually got like 4 proposals, but we used the 3. And on each of those 2 equipments, RJ Young beat the others out because they have a discount for us. And they were who we also got the plotter from years ago. RJ Young. They come out of Nashville, they set the equipment up, and they get it running, and they don't charge us any kind of delivery fee or anything. All the others charged, a new one was whatever that piece of equipment is they take up to the truck to take it down, the forklift, they have that fee in there too. At the back, I just gave you a spreadsheet. I've done this from the first year. Just making sure y'all know what I know, that you know what the office is generating, that you know what is happening. We may have lesser transactions than 23 and 22, but we've had bigger transactions with the developing coming in. We continue to absolutely go higher and higher in the amount of e-files. Such an advantage in our county that we went to e-filing. And another thing is we stopped printing the books. I don't know where I'd been stacking those books if we were still printing books. And then down the reserves, when you get down to the state earmarked data processing reserves, I think that is what we brought in those years, each year, that down at the bottom, that's not a revolving balance. That is what we brought in DP fees per my reports. So you can see the DP fees helps out the registrar's office greatly. And that's what it's supposed to be. I think you've got the court system, you've got the county clerk, that they get a lot more than we do. We only get $2, so each recording. But I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I have one. or
Sure.
Maybe I have a couple. But on the first page, the front page of this, you have your part-time personnel.
Yes.
Last year you had it at 2 people for 24,000, and this year you have it, or this coming year you got it for 1 person for 24,000.
Oh, no, it wasn't really for 2. What happened was I found out, and I forgot to even get this taken care of. They had Miss Mary Shelton retired out. She had health issues. So who did I hire? I came across her son that knew all that I needed to go into these projects. So I hired him, and he's our part-time person. We only have 1.
Okay. So my next question is, how often do you have to use that flatbed scanner to print or to make a copy of the
Well, I can tell you,
plat out of past 1980, older than 1980?
Actually, Terry,
I'm
there-
just wondering if there's a
Yeah.
number of, I'm just asking.
yeah, I'm going to give you a number. In that plat cabinet 1, there is, I'm trying to find my note there. Let's see. Let me look back here. 100. There's under 400 in that cabinet that you're looking at on the
In that
first
one thing,
page.
uh-huh.
Every one of them have to be put on a flatbed. When you get over
How many
in,
times have you already do that?
I don't
How
have the
many
flat,
times have you ever
I don't have the flatbed yet. I haven't been able to copy any of them.
It's coming, but how many times have you had to copy them now?
We just started this project.
Oh, okay, this is so you
And,
restore.
and when
right?
somebody across the United
Digital.
States or wherever they were needed a copy of one of the old surveys,
Yeah.
we put it in the floor, we try to take it out of the yellow, condensed, sticky, gooey envelope.
But you'll just scan them one time and you'll have them forever.
They're
I'll
done.
have them forever.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Now, the other thing to remember, my equipment, the register's equipment, we share with the assessor's office. Alyssa needs use of that at different moments. And so that equipment is shared. They do not even have a functioning plotter anymore. So we share. We don't have any problem with that.
I like this thing right here, by the way.
Yeah, it's a really cool machine. You'll have to come by and take a look at it.
Looks like it's easy.
Now, when you get into those other cabinets, just so you'll know, every one of the 2-sided gray have those difficult surveys that
So you're gonna go to this cabinet?
we're
Is that
going
what
to
you're
that
doing?
cabinet. It's on the way.
Cool.
And it's going to be a changing moment in there.
Okay, good.
So I just wanted to give you, what's been going on and where we're headed as we go forward.
Anybody else any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Judicial.
I apologize, this is my first time. I didn't bring any handouts. I just have the budget policies that Judge Perry prepared and submitted. We don't have,
Mariana gets them, that's on there.
okay, well, I figured you had what we had, because there was a deadline to submit this, so I figured that got passed around somehow, so. Judge Perry prepared this, I think, from last year's. Our salaries are statutory. There's a little increase for the judicial assistants, 1,300, I believe. And then over on the communication, it actually went down 250. Dues and memberships went up 1165. Some of that's statutory memberships that we have to be part of. Some of it's not. Evaluation and testing stayed the same. Those are constitutionally required for people who claim to be mentally ill. Maintenance went up just a hair. Travel went up some more for Judge Perry. I think that has to do with the initiation of the recovery courts. They have some specialized training and stuff like that that they go to. And like Ms. Tony said, some of the travel is based upon our meetings that we have to go to for continuing education. They rotate them between West, East, and Middle Tennessee. So I think we go to Gatlinburg this year. So it'll be a little more, and like I say, the same thing for him there. I think the increase has more to do with the reinstitution of the recovery court. Contracted services went down, office supplies went up 500, periodicals went down 500. So I don't know what, we have no capital improvements, so.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Y'all are asking for a big one, I think.
They won't get that done by the time I die, I bet.
We already fixed it.
No, it won't. It
Oh,
won't.
I know that. Yeah, I know that one.
Anybody questions for the judge?
Yes, do you have the percentage on that paper that you're looking at?
No, I'm just looking at what do you have this?
we don't.
No, I'm sorry, that's,
It may not be all complete. I don't know if I had this, some of the benefits I got to, and some I have
I
not
know,
gotten to yet.
you have to, I mean.
No, you're fine.
How about we bring it back next meeting, that way everybody can see it broken
You're
down.
gonna get a notebook
Yeah.
with those,
Okay.
with all
Just
the
like the percentage,
Yeah.
like how much
personnel
really
in there
The increase?
later.
Okay.
Well, she can, Mary Ann.
Yeah.
I don't know how much, you want the total increase, because I mean, it's not, I mean, I probably figure a little bit of it in my head, 1,300 of 46,000, that's not very much.
I like his back
I like the
class.
1,300 first.
Yeah,
Then you took a big jump.
that's why we got math class.
1165 of 3,000, that percentage is about a third. Minus 250 is a negative, that's probably a sixth.
We'll get it all laid out for the.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we'll have it
Okay.
all later.
All righty. Anybody else have questions?
This is a little early for my
It's just the
deadline.
pattern.
Just
All right,
have
thank you,
no
Gerald.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Plus
Mr. Bonner.
projects up to my ears.
You the guy we need to see.
Yeah.
That's one on this list.
Save the best for last, right?
Yes, sir.
That depends on how you look at it.
He's laughing.
For everybody to get tired and go home.
Good evening, good evening. I have a handout if you'd like one, or we can do it the other way, the form that you already have, and I'll pass those and you can do it. This is just easier for me to go down.
They don't have anything. You were
Okay,
supposed to
then
bring
you'll want one
15
of those.
copies. Thank you.
He's got it. Come on.
Oh, it's got colors on it.
'Cause I don't.
Oh, we got
it's not
color.
time for me to bring all of it. This is-
Wasting ink now. He's wasting ink now, ain't he?
It's 25 cents.
So what you're looking at is, of course, the count items, and then the last 4 years of the same budget, just so you can kind of compare what the trend has been. I can make this real simple. I'm only asking for extra money in 2 lines, or we can go through every line if you'd like. Matters not to me. Obviously, in the payroll section, I put 5% in there just so I had a number, but I don't know until the mayor decides what that number will be. The items that are in red ink are things that Mariana tells me what are, and so I don't know them until she tells me. And, you know, of course, she doesn't know them till they tell her. So insurance, unemployment, work comp, those items I don't have control over. And so you'll see on item number 307, communications, and I think I heard one of the other speakers say the ssame thing. We've had some cost increases, so I've added another 1,000 in that line item because as of halfway through this year, I'm over 50% of my current budget. So the cost increases of Ben Lomond and those things are going to push that one just a little more. The only other one that I have asked for more is up under 119, which is my, she was my administrative assistant, but because we hired a part-timer and put under her, so last year, or this budget year, I went through the 7 committees of, well, I won't say it, to get her title changed, and succeeded in getting her title changed to reflect the fact that she actually manages somebody now. So I would like to see her get a pay increase to match that title increase. As far as what that number is going to be, I don't know. I don't know. The county, we've gone through so many different systems of how we decide what somebody should be paid that I just picked a number that I felt was fair and put it in there. And then however many committees I have to go through to get that approved, we will do that. But those are really the only 2 items. Everything else, same as last year. Our budget is doing well. Staffing is much better. Yay. And so the operations are going good. Drug shortages have gotten better. Fuel has remained pretty constant. Those are the 2 items that always fluctuate, beyond my control. When some drug runs out, then suddenly the price quadruples. But we've had good luck so far. No big massive hurricanes have wiped out anything that affected us. They did get that place in the Carolinas that did IV fluids, but they seem to have recovered from that one. Other than that, I really don't have anything that has changed enough that I need to defend or try to explain. If you have questions, obviously I'd be glad to answer them.
Do you want to explain the 339, the matching share, what that is?
Let me get to it.
That's the,
Backside, top.
the Medicaid subsidy we get through TennCare and.
339.
339. I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Matching share.
Okay, you want me to try to explain that?
Well, I can.
Whew.
We get a percentage.
Right.
Go ahead.
They came up with a system for TennCare that every ambulance service pays into the state X amount of dollars per Medicaid patient that we transport. Then they turn around and pay us a bigger amount based on the total number of emergency runs that we made in that same period, whether they were TennCare patients or not. I don't explain it well, but it works well for us. We pay in and we get a lot more back. And
Right. You'll see that.
Mariana may know the exact number.
We actually get more.
Okay.
But it's a weird matching share thing, and it works. The county profits from it as far as putting money back in our budget. And I can get you a much longer detailed explanation if you are so bored. I mean, if you'd like one.
How about trucks that are to buy?
We're going to need I meant to ask if you wanted capital outlay gone over in this meeting. I wasn't sure. I've asked for 125 in capital projects for a new ambulance. That with the money that's left over from the ARP fund, which is about 100,000, should get me enough to get a new ambulance on order. And still, there's talking 18 months plus to get it delivered, and that's very fluid. But that's the price wise that would get us one more ambulance.
Okay.
The current fleet is in good shape. They're holding up well. They're starting to show things that happen when you get 200,000 miles on an ambulance. But we've not had, I'm scared to even say it. We've not had to replace.
You haven't had the Ford Demon Katawa mode.
Sure, let's call
How
it
about
that.
And have a deer running.
Yeah, we've had a deer hit one. and,
I'd rather have a deer hit
had-
one
had
than
some
Katawa motor.
Repair costs there.
That one, yeah, that one was expensive.
So the Duramax has done well.
Doing well.
Okay.
And those transmissions are doing, all the big
Allison
components are doing
Allison
well.
transmissions on them and the
yes.
Duramax, okay.
Now, if one of them goes bad tomorrow, I'm blaming you for bringing it up. But
Well,
yes.
I was here the last time when we were dropping 10
Oh,
grand to pop it on the 6.4s
Yeah,
and the 6.0s.
and 6,
And we tried to get
yeah, we
Ford
bought them
Motor
all.
Company to step up, and they wouldn't honor anything.
No, and I decided it was time for a different product
Yes, sir,
line.
you did a good job
You
to pick
so.
the Chevrolet. I'm not saying that for a Chevrolet person. I think
It
you
has
did
worked
I
well.
think you did your research and you went out and you found a vehicle that has served well in the county.
And it has, and they have done well. I've been very pleased. So,
and we haven't
I
replaced
do
them
have a
up.
question.
All right.
So I've noticed that the overtime has went up about 37,000.
I'm sorry, which line number are you looking at?
I'm looking at 187.
All right,
If we
thank
look
you.
at budget 23, 24 to this coming, that's almost an extra $100,000 just in overtime.
And the reason is we have staff.
But could
So
we
during the
hire other
pandemic, we only
employees?
had like 3 crews a day. And now we actually have our 5 crews that we need. Now, why it's overtime, is that,
Yes.
okay.
Just within those
So
23, 25.
when you work a 24-48 shift, you get overtime every week. So if you work 2 days, that's 48 hours. And there's one week you work 3 days, so that third shift is all overtime. So it always looks like we have a huge overtime budget, but it's not like overtime where they're working, well, some of it is, where they're working extra when we're short-staffed. But a lot of it is just, that's the built-in overtime, that's the way our system works, and it is cheaper than hiring enough people to not have overtime.
Because
That
of
is-
the benefits.
Right, benefits and to just eat you up, so.
Thank you.
So it is the best of the bad systems.
All right, thanks.
I'm sorry, did I get,
Yes, you
Okay.
answered my question.
anything
Thank you.
else?
And your, the raise that you, last year we gave
Mm-hmm.
everybody 8.5, how did you disperse that?
Across the board,
Across the board?
yeah. Everybody needed it, and I didn't want the negative morale impact of splitting it up because, we were finally getting some staff, and if I give you more and you less, well, now you're mad because you got less, and it just didn't feel like it was gonna be a good thing overall for the department.
So would you say that your personnel, pay-wise, are starting out where they're where they need to be, and after probate, all the raises and stuff, is everybody's where they need to be?
I feel like we are competitive, and I think the fact that staffing has improved enforces that, now we're fully, we got 2 openings that we really need, but other than that, staffing is much better, and I think that reflects the fact that our pay scales are now much more in line. Now, of course, anytime you're fighting the private services, the big ones, Vanderbilt, St. Thomas, who can give big raises anytime they want to, and sometimes they'll hit us mid-year, in December, they'll give a big raise. Well, now suddenly they look a lot more than us, but we're even with them enough now that people are making their decisions based on either like trying to be close to home, not traveling that, hour and a half to get to work, and decisions that are better on how they like the service or the people rather than just chasing the dollar. So, yeah, I'm happy.
All right, thank you.
Anything else?
Anybody else, any questions? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Anybody old business? No old business. All right, our next meeting is,
I did want to make a comment.
okay, Mary Ann wants to make a comment.
You don't wanna have one
Keep
before,
that all night.
you don't wanna have one before the
It
25th?
wasn't the time to have.
Okay,
So
okay, here,
you do have to present a budget amendment when, this is something new this year. You've seen how I've had quite a few with salaries. Anything that you move between line 101, salary line item, all the way down to 210, which is unemployment, if one is over and one is short, you have to present an official budget amendment, even if it is a budget transfer from one line to the other. So, does that make sense? So that's why the school is required to bring that amendment. You can't move it, management does not have the authority any longer to move it between lines. You can move operating, what they call operating, which is anything that's a 300 down to the 700. You can move those. But if it's personnel, it has to be presented to the committee, this committee, and it has to be approved and then sent to the full commission for approval. So I just wanted to point that out. It's not discretionary. It's not up to the school board. It's not up to anybody's office once you're given money that you can move salaries. That has been something different. And we were told that by the auditors. The mayor's aware of it. Well, he's gone, but so I just want to say that. It's not, you can't do that anymore. Also, I did print this legislative brief that was sent. It's been a while, but it's got little bubbles on when everything's approved and when it's due and all that. So I just thought, since we were talking about with the school board when they needed to present their budget, it's just a little easy, kind of at a glance type thing that you can kind of look at. Yeah, they're kind of stuck together.
New paper.
Tim's
That tree's still trying to
Okay, you
grow.
want one? I got one.
That can help
got
you
one.
when you're looking at dates and all that, because it can get a bit confusing.
That's why I called you.
So
That way I
do
knew I
that.
was telling them the truth. Okay, our next, anybody else? Next meeting is April the 24th, and I'm planning on them bringing us their budget. Then we'll add more things to it.
I will not be here on that.
Okay.
None of them are here.
Anybody else need discussion, anything to put in? I entertain a motion to adjourn then.
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion by Stubblefield.
Second.
Second. All those in favor can stand up.
Oh, I can't stand right now.
Stand up.